What's going on, y'all? It's TCG here, back again with another regional recap. That's right, we're finally in 07, and we got some regional recaps to go over. Today, we're going to be covering Noheroes Utrecht regionals, and I want to give a big shout out to Eggman Events. I'll have a link to this website down in the description. Shout out to you, Eggman, for providing this information for us to look over and talk about. Yeah, so this is one of the first big OP07 events, and a surprise underdog came out of nowhere to scoop this event up. But before we jump into the breakdowns, the deck list, and everything like that, you know what? I want to shout out today's sponsor, and that's going to be Dueling Guard. I know I always talk about their One Piece designs. This is a One Piece related channel, but they have other stuff too. You know, they have tons of other designs from Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, Tokyo Ghoul, Kaiju number 8, Overlord, Solo Leveling, Berserk. I mean, you name it, they got it. Make sure to go check out that link in the description. Use that code GumGumTCG to save yourself a little bit of cash at checkout. Huh? You still aren't using Dueling Guard? Then you aren't using the best TCG accessories on the market. Dueling Guard makes the highest quality TCG deck boxes with the most stunning artwork I've ever seen. Their modular design allows for easy access to your decks and dice. They don't just make deck boxes, they also make the highest quality binders with side-loading pages to keep your expensive cards safe and protected. They also make high-quality playmats and now even sleeves. I personally use their sleeves on all of my cards and cannot go back to another sleeve after I've been using theirs. They are grippy and slick when you need them to be, and I have no doubts that my cards are protected in them. Gear up with Dueling Guard to protect your cards in style. Don't forget to use code GumGumTCG to get a discount at checkout. Let's go ahead and jump into this breakdown. So this was July 6th through 7th, and there was 499 players, so not as big as your typical big regional or treasure cup like this, right around half the size. I mean, there are a good amount that are about 500 players, but typically they are about 1,000, at least in the US and the TCG, usually a little bit larger, but it was still 9 rounds of Swiss and best of 1 in top 16 cuts to best of 3. So yeah, let's just go ahead and look at the breakdown for everything. Overall, we had 120 Rob Lucci. So this is the new big player. Everybody wants to try and take a stab at the new black removal deck, and I mean, it takes up a chunk of the wheel here. Almost a fourth, sorry. Excuse me, almost a fourth of the wheel here is taken up just by Rob Lucci, and then right behind it is Enel and Law, both at 83 and 81 respectively, taking up a little over a fourth. And then behind that is Monkey D. Luffy and Bonnie taking up 56 and 43. You know, these are our top 5 players this format, in my opinion. You know, I did a tier list, and these were my top 5 in the room. I did expect to see more Law than anything. I think Law has the ability to be the best deck in the format, even though there are some other big power players here. I think if a skilled player gets behind this deck and takes their time with it, they can really come out on top. Now, that is just a personal opinion, and I guess we'll see if my thoughts are correct as this format develops. But next, we still had some Gecko Moria poking up in there. People still trying the Gecko without the Great Eruption. It's still a good deck, don't get me wrong. We do have 1901 Doflamingos, all of that new 7 Warlord support. Right behind them is Boa Hancock at 14. So right there, both pretty close together in representation. All that new 7 Warlord support makes people want to try it out. And then also, the new Kucha Pirates support is a lot of help to Nami. We're going to take a look at one of the lists here in a minute. But we also had 10 Perona. A lot of people are playing Perona with this Wano spicy build where you draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of cards off of Moria, rest a bunch of stuff, whatever. Doing Perona things. It's really cool. And then we have 39 other decks. And a couple of those other decks poked into top 16. So top 16, we had 7 Rob Lucci, taking up almost half the wheel here. Those Lucci players were skilled and able to navigate their way through all of these big boards. And then next we had 2 Jewelry Bonnie. You know, I do think Bonnie is a sleeper this format. Right behind her is Law, another great deck. And right behind that is a 1 Law. OP01 Law, red-green Law. All my homies hate red decks Law. I'm talking about the menace that terrorized the One Piece card game for a while in the first 3 formats. This deck was crazy good, and if you were a skilled player, you were unstoppable with it. And he has poked his ugly little head out again to take a stab at the top 16 of this regional. And we also had one Enel, one Doflamingo, one Nami, and one ST13 Luffy. Not to be confused with ST10 Luffy. This is the black-yellow Luffy. Now, I'm shook at this because this one red-green law player that was able to make his way into top 16 ended up winning. I'm sure you can see it on the side here. I've just been talking about everything else for now. But yes, George, I don't want to butcher your last name. George won with Law from OP01. So we're going to be taking a look at that list here in just a second, but we also have our runner-up Armin on Bonnie. We're also going to take a look at the top 4 Law list, ST10 Law, and then the top 4 Enel list. We're going to take a look at the top 8 Rob Lucci list, as well as, let's go ahead and look at both top 8 Rob Lucci lists. Why not? I was only going to look at one of them, but we'll take a look at 2 of them, and then we have a Doflamingo we're going to look at, and why not, let's take a third look at the Lucci list. I just want to see the small differences between them. And then we have the Nami list we're going to take a look at. We have the ST13 Luffy list we're going to take a look at as well. And yeah, let's just jump into those now. So here we have the OP01 Law list. This is the winner list, and I'm going to try and get a good scroll so you can see all the cards on this list. We have, of course, our red-green fuzzy hat friend here, Law. And they are on what seems to be what I think a Law list would look like nowadays, you know? I mean, you're playing a couple new cards, but mostly a lot of the same good old stuff. Only on 1 Makino, they are on 4 Otama, they are on 4 Bonnie, because this searches a majority of the deck being Supernova typing. You're on 2 Don Namis. So that's interesting, getting some extra attaches. I know I saw some lists running around near the end of this deck's lifespan where they were starting to play the Don Nami, just getting some extra power in there. Still on 4 of the Tony Chopper, as well as 4 of the Nami, 2 of the Nico Robin, 2 of the Brook, 4 Curly Dedan. You gotta search your searchers in small bodies. 1 Sanji. Sorry, I was looking at the 2 cost here. 2 of the new Tony Chopper from EB. This is another great addition to the deck, being able to spit this out off of your leader effect. Then we also have 4 Zoro. You got to play Zoro, just that great 3/5 rusher. 3 Cavendish. You know, this works really well in this deck because this is a Supernova leader. This card is awesome. It gets you 2 more Dawn, and you can do a lot with 2 Dawn in 01 Law. Let me tell you, they are on 1 Bonnie, and I'm sure that this came up every once in a while. Definitely easy for them to find with how much searching they do in this deck, but the 1 Bonnie just being able to stop an attack or rest a Dawn of an opponent. You know, I was playing Luffy the other day at locals, and a Bonnie player used this against me to freeze my Dawn right when I went to 10 Dawn, and I could not do my full combo. It was pretty crazy. It sucked. They're only on 2 of the 5-cost Rush Luffy, which I think works. You know, you're playing all these restand laws and all these blocker laws. You have enough momentum and tempo to be able to bounce these around and get around with that. So not too bad. I think I skipped over a couple here, though. We're on 4 Nami, as well as 2 Nico Robin and 2 Brook. I don't know if I mentioned those or not. Maybe I just spaced out there for a second, but I feel like I spaced over those. Like I said, 4 of the restand law, and then 4 of the blocker bounce law, quintessential card of this deck, and then 1 of the Roanoa Zoro. And I imagine this is for cleaning up the Enel matchup, as well as cleaning up the black-yellow Luffy matchup. If you can find this and stick this, you're sitting pretty against most of those decks. And then 1 Rad Beam. You know, usually they're on Rad Beam, maybe Guard Point, but only 1, and I think that's fine. You know, this deck plays a lot of 2Ks, has a lot of searchability, a lot of blockers. I think that's totally fine. And this person was able to pilot this deck to victory in a room full of removal-based decks. When people say that this deck cannot live because there are cards like 4-cost Rob Lucci around, this guy proves that this is skill intensive, and congratulations to you. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the runner-up list, and that's going to be Bonnie, and this is going to be your more typical Bonnie list. This is your Don Quixote Supernova build, and yeah, I mean, they're on 3 of the Baby 5 2Ks, 4 of the Baby 5 Searchers, 4 of the Bonnie Searchers, 2 of the Apu 2K from EB. They are on 3 Rosanates. This is just a great card to pair with your 3 kids, as well as any of your other stuff too. You know, this card is just an amazing blocker. 4 of the Viola 2Ks, and I guess there's not too much reason to pick one over the other. They're both mostly just searched off of Baby 5 as another 2K, but maybe they like the option of being able to rest an opponent's Dawn on attack, or yeah, I don't know if this ever were to happen to hit the field. Then they are on 3 of the Bartow from 07. This is just another new great blocker. We're on 4 of the Noheroes. You got to play this in Bonnie to get that free Dawn. That's so good, especially if you drop this on turn 2. It's so free. And then on 4 Cavendish, quintessential for this deck as well. Just being able to restand 2 Dawn gives you so much extra play in this deck. 2 of the Bonnie from 07, 4 of the Hawkins, 4 Hody Jones. You know, I've seen people talking about playing Hody or not playing Hody at all, and I definitely think playing Hody is the way. You got to play at least a couple copies of it, but they opted for 4 copies of it, just making sure they can find this card to get through those sticky board situations. 3 Kid, you have to have your Kid. Certain matchups, it might not be the best, but you do have your cards like Resonante to help protect it if needed. And, you know, if you have 2 and they get rid of the 1, they might not be able to get rid of the 2nd. So, and then they are on the 1 of Zoro. Like I said, this is for that push through some of those yellow matchups, can really help you there. And then on 3 of the 10-drop Dofi, this can really help against a lot of matchups, just being able to lock down the game. And then 2 of the 0-cost event. So, yeah, pretty standard Dofi Supernova Bonnie list. You know, there's nothing special, no spice here in my opinion. This is typical of what you're going to see of these lists this format. Next, we have the 3rd place or 4th place. They don't really specify when you start going down the line, but Law. This is the top 4 Law, and yeah, it looks like a pretty typical Law list. We're on the 3 Otamas, 4 Gordons, 3 Raismax, 2 Sanjis, 4 Shirayas, 4 Zero Juros, 4 Bonclays, 2 Ains, 4 Kid Killer, 4 Shachis, 4 Reijus, 3 Missile Sundays, 4 Kids, 2 Queens, 2 Sanjis, and 1 Fire Fist. Yeah, it's pretty standard Law list in my opinion. These are pretty cut and paste nowadays. Maybe your choice of Gordon or Raismax and how many you play. Fire Fist I don't see too often, and then Missile Sunday I've seen more at lower numbers, but they were able to pilot this to victory, and I do have a feeling we'll see a lot more of Law this format. And then next we have the 3rd or 4th Rob Lucci list. I don't know. Like I said, they don't label it 3rd or 4th. This is just top 4. If you're not 1st or 2nd, you're top 4. And this is also a pretty standard Rob Lucci list, I'm going to be honest. 3 Surus, 4 Spandums, 2 Helmeppos, 2 Spandines, 2 Brook, 3 Rebeccas, 4 Khalifas, 1 Borsellino. I guess that's just for your mirror match or something if you need to stick something on the field. 3 Kaku, 4 Rob Lucci, 3 Kaku, 3 Sabos, 4 Geckos, 2 Ishos, 2 Sabos, 4 Tempest Kick, and 4 Innie's Lobby. Now, like I said, nothing crazy about this list in my opinion. No Stussies. I know some people play Stussies sometimes, but I feel like your top end, you're always on your Morias, but your top end is usually divided between Isho, Sabo, and Stussie in some forms or another. It's really just dependent on what you want to play. But yeah, this looks like a pretty standard Rob Lucci list, and I feel like I would typically see 4 Rebecca, but I wonder if they maybe cut one just to toss in that extra Borsellino at the last second, or maybe that's just how they've been testing it, but toss in that Borsellino for that mirror match. And the other thing I didn't notice is any of the Nightmare Luffy or the 6-cost Brook. I know that some lists are starting to run a little bit of those just to be able to deal with situations where your opponent's just constantly sticking Sabos on the field. And then next here we have another one of the top 8 lists, and this one's just a little different. Like I said, here we go. We have the Stussy in here instead of the Isho, and then they are on more Borsellinos. They are on more Rebeccas. Yeah, they're not on the Sabos. They're not on... this list is on 6 King Pistol, which I like because you do play quite a bit of no counter bodies in this deck. And then I'm trying to see what the other difference in here is. I guess it's really just that Isho. Yeah, that Isho, the 6 King Pistol. Yeah. Their amount of Khalifas are a little different. They are on the 3 Borsellinos, like I said. And then we should have the other one right here as well. Yes, here's the other one. And they are on the Brooks in this list. A lot of the rest looks quite the same. 2 Borsellinos. We've got one list playing 1, one playing 2, and one playing 3. See what I'm saying? And then they are only on 1 Sabo. as well as 2 Brook, like I said, for those sticky situations. I see some people playing the Nightmare 5-cost Black Luffy from '07 as well. But yeah, I mean, these lists look pretty standard. I mean, if you look at them while I switch them, these like top 12 cards are all the same, and just a couple things change about them. They're pretty standard for the most part. But yeah, congratulations to all of you for getting top 8 and top 4 respectively. Very good deck this format. And then here we go. I believe this is top 8 Anel or top 4 Anel. Believe it's top 4 actually. Yes, top 4 Anel. And yeah, this is a little interesting to me. So I know a lot of Anel lists are playing very starve heavy this format. You know, you're playing 4 of all of the big body healers just to be able to stick around for a while. But I have not seen a lot of people playing this 5-cost Sabo or the 7-cost Anel, and I like that. That's pretty interesting to me. But we'll just run over everything real quick. We're on 4 Flop Ace, 2 Shirahoshis. You gotta play this card. I think this card's broken in the black matchup. It's a free body that never leaves the field. Then they're on 4 Onami, 4 Beige, 4 Frankie. That's all pretty standard. You definitely want to be playing all of those. 4 Gadatsu just for that early game removal, being able to starve them for a couple turns, pop all their bodies they put on the field. Very sure, very strong. 3 of the Egghead Luffy. This is very good to pop some other stuff as well as get that extra draw. Another body you can trigger to pop stuff. Just a great card all around. 3 of this Sabo, if you ever need to use it and take a life card, I guess trash a life card, and pop something, it's there if you need it. 3 of the Russian L, like I said, haven't seen too much of this card in deck list that I was looking for in the OCG for this format, but I might have to give this a shot. And then 4 Cats, 4 Yamatos, 4 Ace. Only 3 of the 0-cost event. I feel like typically this is a 4 of, but I mean, if it works, it works, right? And then 4 Raigo. Like I said, you got to have your removal in this format. Being able to get around those kids is a problem sometimes, and other top end as well. But yeah, pretty standard Anel list, and congrats to you for piloting this to your top 4 victory. Now, I know you all wanted to see this, the top 8 or top 16 Doflamingo. This deck has been popping up all over the place. People were super hyped for this. We have a lot of Dofi fans over in the TCG, and I'll be honest, this is a pretty standard Dofi list. Not anything super special or spicy in here, but we'll run through the list. 4 Perona, 4 Dofi, 4 Pudding. Pudding is a killer. I think this card is insane. If this card was ever printed in any other color, oh my god, it would be devastating. But unfortunately, it is locked behind blue, and blue is just not taking the reins yet. But once it does, this card is going to be a menace. 4 of the new 2K Law, as well as 4 of the Crocodile, 4 of the Mihawk, 4 Gecko Moris to grab back all your stuff, 4 Jinbeis, 4 Edward Weevils to help you draw and get a big body on field, as well as 1 of the Vanilla Gecko Moria, 2 of the new Boa Hancock, 3 of the Kaido, Draw Kaido, 1 Gum Gum Rain, 1 Perfume Femur, 3 Red Rock, and 3 Raging Tiger Blade. Like I said, pretty standard Dofi list. You know, you're playing a lot of these small one-ofs because you stack the deck and look through your deck quite a lot. You're drawing a lot of cards. You're going to find these cards, you know. You don't need to play 4 of them, and they're very situational. You know, this Perfume Femur can definitely help you close out the game, but when you're stacking your deck for the first few turns of the game, then you drop Kaido after Kaido after Kaido and draw 12 cards, you'll probably find your Perfume Femur and be able to close that game out. And then same with the Gum Gum Rain. I imagine this is just for one-off situations where you might have a couple of these large bricks in your hand and you need to get it out, but a lot of these cards have counters, and they play a lot of 2Ks. They're on 12 2Ks, and then a ton of cards that do have counter in the list, and then you're on 3 of both of your removal events just to help deal with bodies and cleanup. And then lastly, we have the ST13 Luffy list, and here's the sauce. This one is actually on a card that I haven't seen in lists before, and I'm definitely going to have to check out trying out for myself. I've been thinking about playing a different version of this list that I've only seen explored 1 or 2 other times before, but stay tuned for some content on that because I might have to end up sharing it if it works out well. But yeah, pretty standard list other than this last card here. You know, 4 Flop Ace, 4 Garps, 4 Hioris, 4 Luffy, 3 Ace, 4 Sabo, 2 Kuzans. I do know that people are starting to play Kuzans as well as 2 Peronas in this list moving into 07 just to get some extra 2Ks as well as cost reduction, as well as hand ripping if you need it. or draw a card and extra cost reduction to pair with your new Egghead Luffy, which we are on 4 of the Big Luffy, 3 of the Egghead, 4 of the Sabo, 3 of the Ace, 4 Moria, 3 Search Event, and then 2 Gum Gum Bell. Let's take a look at this card real quick and talk about why this card is really good in this deck. Main, you may add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -7 cost during this turn. If you pair that with your Egghead Luffy, that is that's literally popping anything on the field as long as it can be removed. Egghead Luffy pops a 4 or less, and this allows you to pop. I mean, this makes anything -7, so you can pop up to an 11, and that's insanely strong. Definitely a great card. But why is this card even stronger than that? Well, it's not only just a 2 cost, which is a nice even number that this deck likes a lot, but it is also has a trigger to add a black character card with a cost of 2 or less from your trash to your hand. I read that wrong. That actually does nothing for us. I thought it said add a character card with the cost of 2 or less, but that actually does nothing for us. I lied to you. I'm sorry. But this main effect is actually really, really strong, and I'm going to have to test this card out, even as just a 2 of, when you need it against certain matchups, and you can drop that and then spit out your Egghead Luffy from life, give your leader a bonus, pop the guy, draw a card as well. Really, really strong. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. But that is going to be it for today. Like I said, this is an awesome regional and an awesome display of how diverse this format actually is. So test to your heart's content, play that deck that you've been wanting to play, and if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.